r/ask Reddit. What's the single most important item in your home that has a value of $1 or less? A brown plastic realistic cockroach nicknamed Freddy. We got it over 20 years ago. I don't remember where or why. Maybe a Halloween party? Anyway, my wife and I have been hiding it for each other ever since. It could take months for Freddy to pop up, but he always does. She will find it buried in the sugar pot. I will later find it inside a pair of shoes I rarely wear. It often makes us jump and give a small fright. I'll hear my wife let a surprised gasp, then go, "Oh Freddy." For me, Freddy is a great symbol that our relationship is still solid after all these years. That we still take the time to have fun, to surprise each other. This is my favorite on the thread. Where else have you guys hidden him? Do tell. I'm Freddy to hear more. Pockets of shirt, of jackets, any kind of dry food container, under a carpet, between slice of bread in a bag, in a sock, inside a mug. I once hid it in her purse and she found it in front of a very puzzled clerk while trying to pay for something in a shop. A tiny paper crane a Japanese grandmother gave me when I was in Osaka at a museum. She worked there and was waiting for tourists to come play an educational board game with her. She got no interest, obviously. I reluctantly sat down and played after she caught me on my own with a smile and a beckoning wave. Even though we couldn't speak each other's language and I kept messing up, she was so kind to me, so happy that I sat with her. She made me deal with my impatience and sit with the distress I was feeling that day by slowing me down and making me do something plain and simple. When we were done, she gave me a tiny paper crane from the pile she had made to give to all the tourists that should have sat with her and didn't. It made me really sad and really happy I'd met her, and I hope she's doing well. This is why I'd also sit with the old people that ran the themed stations at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. I was there once a week for a while and sometimes I'd hit every single station so the 80-plus-year-old person there would have someone to talk to. I'm already looking forward to being an old docent at a museum and talking to people like you. I'm in my mid-40s and have always loved talking to older people. I had a friend that was in World War II US Army and he had the best stories and a ton of Nazi stuff that he took from soldiers he killed. Dude was a straight up badass airborne ranger that was part of the Alsace death camp liberation. Met the guy while working in the mall. Just a lonely man walking around talking to young people. One time, about 5 years into our relationship, my girlfriend, now wife, and I were in separate rooms in our 1-bedroom apartment in early December. From the other room, she hollered to me, "What do you want for Christmas?" I had been working full-time, taking part-time university classes to finish my degree, and had been volunteering as part of a youth mentor program. So I said, all I really want is a break. 3 weeks later, I'm unwrapping a very heavy shoebox. After getting through the mountain of duct tape and several layers of wrapping paper, I had my very own brick. "I really didn't understand what you wanted it for," he said, "but you sounded so sure of it. So here you go." Cue about 10 minutes of laughs. And now that brick sits proudly on my desk. Every time I am overwhelmed or feeling like I've taken on too much, I look at it, pick it up, have a little laugh, and put it back so I can carry on. Best gift ever. That's an incredibly sweet story. Thanks for sharing. I've been working from home and as my employer, like many others, are soul-sucking demons not fit for this earth. They track you in just about every way possible because it's simply inconceivable to think people would just do the work they're paid to do, regardless of the setting they're in. If I don't interact with the computer for more than 5 minutes, it registers me as away. Heavens forbid I have to poop or something. I got spoken to the very first week of WFH and told you have to be available during work hours by a supervisor who is seemingly never available but was blind to the irony, I guess. In any event, I found that if you navigate to a certain portion of our 1970s software you can endlessly type. I promptly went outside and found a rock which now holds down my spacebar for me anytime I need to walk away for a minute. That rock is, in my eyes, now one of the most important objects in my world, and it was free. Edit. Fixed typos. I feel shame. Thank you for the awards. To the people who messaged me offering alternatives, I appreciate your kindness. The reality is I kinda like the rock. I don't see the need for a piece of hardware or a program when the rock works fine. There is something to be said for simplicity, and I don't think it's gonna get any simpler than Iraq. It's basically an on-off switch. No, I'm not a horrible employee scamming the system. No matter the job, no one works non-stop a full shift. I do not believe people are wired to complete boring and repetitive tasks endlessly like robots. Everyone needs time to breathe and relax. If I'm stepping away for 6 minutes to make a pot of coffee and poop, I'm a normal human doing normal human things, which I would also do in the office. I'm not setting the rock down and going on a 45-minute adventure to the beach or something. Yes, I work for a horrible employer. I'm looking for something different. I'm sure there are not horrible employers out there. Maybe you are one of them. However, as more places transition to WFH, there seems to be this misconception that people need to adhere to crazier and crazier methods of proving productivity. If you have a good amount of employees, you have bad employees, ones who will abuse the system and not get their work done. This is the case regardless of the setting. In trying to stop these deadweight employees, you're putting everyone else through hell. Just keep that in mind. Modern problems require Stone Age solutions. I never take rocks for granite. One specific screw, it has emotional significance. During our first official date with my GF, I got a flat tire because of that random screw. I had never changed a tire before in my life and I was afraid I'd make a fool of myself in front of her. But it all worked out well and she was super impressed. Next day, when I took my car to the shop to patch the hole, I asked them to return me the screw just for the happy memory. That's really touching. I imagine a screw would be pretty easy to lose. Have you considered using it to hang a small picture of the two of you so that you'd always know where it was? That's a great idea. Cheers. I have a heart-shaped rock that is about the size of a quarter. My son gave it to me when he was 3 and told me to keep it forever. I have it in my back pocket daily. The Donovan. It's a $1 bill with a picture of ex-UF basketball coach Billy Donovan taped over the president. It was a single dollar a friend and I would pass back and forth that we would bet on different things. It's a trophy we have passed back and forth over the last 20 years. It's an item that has kept us in touch. The fact that you have misspelled Donovan twice makes me think you really believe he's called Donovan, and I just had to point that out for my own peace of mind. P.S. Love the story behind it. By the way, at least it was a consistent error. I have to take pills for tension headaches or I can barely function. I get really dizzy. One pill costs $1. So when a tension headache flares up and I'm dizzy and sick feeling, there is no better dollar spent than on that pill. I get tension headaches too. They suck. Is the pill you take RX or OTC? I spelled this wrong, but it's something like sumatriptan. I have a $1 bill saved and put away in a drawer. The significance behind it is it was my last dollar before I decided to stop gambling and doing hard drugs. I had to stop cold turkey. I was so done being a half human, or an empty shell. At first it was just $1 that sat in my center console in my car. I would look at it and be reminded what I was doing. I've been sober for well over a year now. I feel like that $1 is special. I know in Narcotics Anonymous they get something saying how long they've been sober or whatever. That $1 is my token. My token for fighting a silent battle that I cannot share with people, otherwise I could lose my job. When I was 4 or 5, the last time I ever saw my great grandmother, she gave me a $1 bill and said, as long as you keep this dollar you'll never be broke. I spent it the next day on some candy. That may be my biggest regret. These are my thoughts only, and they are worth about what you paid for them. I believe the universe can give and return. That as long as your great grandmother is in your heart, you might receive that dollar again. If you are ever struck by a strange feeling over something seemingly insignificant, it might be her bringing that dollar back to you. Her gesture touched you with a memory that may last forever. I think she would consider it a dollar well spent. A matchstick. I had a door that was sagging in my house due to the screw over time wearing a larger hole in the wall, and after some research I found a tip that shoving a matchstick with the tip broken off inside, and a dab of glue, could make the hole smaller. That matchstick was worth its weight in gold, so about $1. After it helped me fix a huge annoyance. Alternately toothpicks or a wooden golf tee. My son found a rock on the way home from school and kindergarten. We were walking home through this park we always cut through and he grabbed the rock and fell in love with it. It just looked like mud to me, but who cares, he loved it. When we got home I helped him wash it off in the sink and it was black and kinda bluish. He said it was awesome and then gave it to me. It's one of my most precious things in the world to me. Oh, that's adorable. My stepdaughter loved gifting me rocks. I've kept quite a few. One of my favorites is a rose quartz she actually found on a hike in the mountains. It looked like a regular rock, but after we cleaned it up, I noticed it looked like quartz. I asked my friend, who collects minerals, and she told us what it was. I thought that was just absolutely amazing. I got this complimentary little webcam cover that slides back and forth over the camera lens on my laptop. It's saved me from making a fool of myself on Zoom many times now. I got this goodie bag for participating in this one event, and it had a webcam cover in it. Now every day I thank this little guy for helping me during online classes or just for helping me to keep the privacy. For your information, most Targets have them in the bullseye section for $1. Enjoy. Dad's straw gardening hat. It's torn and worn, but he died 2 years ago and it reminds me of him when I wear it. My dad used to make these wire puzzle toys. I have the wire, and I can make more of them, but the ones he made are priceless. Gang shit, my great grandma always made these for us when we were kids. I couldn't make one, but I run across one here and there and it always makes me smile. Handwritten letters from my grandmother who passed away a few years ago. While it is sad to see her handwriting get progressively worse for each letter at the end, it is nice to have something that was that close to her. I have them stored in a small box and it always goes into our evacuation bag during fire season. The book that my grandma used to read to me, it's worthless, wasn't even listed on Goodreads until I added it. But she died in 2005, the day after my 8th birthday, and remembering her voice reading it is one of the clearest memories I have. I would definitely save it in a fire. What book is it? Cat Crusoe by Mark Burgess, about a sophisticated cat that is shipwrecked and meets a band of giant pirate mice. LMAO. A ratty teddy bear passed down from my much older brothers to me is the only item I have that survived my insane childhood. Sounds like he makes a great balloon. A single post-it note folded into a paper airplane with the words "Will you be my boyfriend?" and 2 checkboxes labeled yes and yes. He's my husband now. A rock shaped like a heart. My fiance and I took a trip to Poland and Greece. I bought her a heart-shaped rock from a salt mine in Poland. Didn't cost $1, but at a red sand beach in Greece 4 days later, she found a rock that was shaped perfectly like a heart. This one was free. Both rocks now sit next to each other in our house we just bought. Also, one rock is dark and the other red. I so happen to have red hair and she has dark hair. She found the red heart rock for free and I bought the salt rock. I got this one for free, so I'm just gonna say this one. A piece of clay. The clay specifically has my dead cat's paw print in it, so I'd say I can answer this with the clay. I have one of those for my dog. I love the vet's offices that do this. I got my dog for free. It's been a rough year, and she's so empathic. She's a total cuddle bug, and a great shoulder to cry on. I got my cat for free. He was born on an alpaca farm. I love him a lot even though he's kind of a jerk sometimes. Nail file with the bit that gets the grit out of your nails. So that is what it's for. I was just making a point of never using it for that in front of anyone in case I was wrong. It just always seemed too convenient to be its true use for some reason. I have a church organ in my house that I got for free when a church in another state couldn't find an organist and gave up the organ. I minored in music in college and am an organist, so it's probably the most important less than $1 item I own. Whoa, church organs are big things. Where do you put all the pipes? How did you get it into your house? I have so many questions. It's a MIDI organ. It uses a computer and sound samples of a real organ to make sound through my speaker system. However, I do have a few ranks of pipes that we're, my roommate and I, both musicians, going to rig up to let the organ control, to have a real pipe organ. But as of now, pipes not being functional, it is simply a Hauptwerk powered organ. My glasses were free with my insurance, so they're definitely the most important thing in my house. I see. My dog Ziggy. I found him in a box outside of a liquor store. He was 6-week pit bull covered on mange. I took him home, bathed him twice a day every day for weeks to get the mange to go away. 4 years later he's the best boy, with a full beautiful coat. A pair of extra long tongs that allow me to turn bacon from a distance so the grease doesn't splatter on me. Cook your bacon in the oven on a sheet tray and you'll never get burned by splattering bacon grease again. Plus it actually stays flat and comes out perfectly crispy. This is a great method for consistently good bacon and bacon for a crowd, but I don't like missing out on the sport of cooking it in a cast iron pan, like motorboats versus sailing. It would probably either be my own life or those cheap charging cables that you can buy in convenience stores. Yeah, one of those two. When I was a very small kid, and we were very poor, my parents bought me a small teddy bear. That teddy bear is now more than 20 years old but is the most precious gift I have. Cheesecloth. It's one of those items that cost next to nothing and you never think you'll use. But my god, do I use a lot of cheesecloth. Like a sort of muslin for draining curds etc. What sort of things do you use it for? I cook a lot. Need to strain stock? Cheesecloth. Need to get rid of lumps in gravy? Cheesecloth. Wanna make gin at home? Why yes, you can do that. Cheesecloth. It can replace string. It can cover wounds. It's wonderful for art projects. Ever wonder what homemade cheese tastes like? Well, grab yourself some cheesecloth and milk and a few other ingredients and be prepared to be completely disappointed in the time you wasted making something that tastes exactly like the stuff you buy at the store. Right now, that's easy. The little green cap on the bottom of my pee bag. I am 61. Was discharged from the hospital on Thanksgiving after surgery to remove my cancerous prostate. I'm home recovering. When I get past the horror and indignity of having a catheter, I am left with my personal utopia of being able to lodge about all day and never have to get up to pee. I can't even tell when I'm going. It appears I am doing it now, as a matter of fact. But, as I quickly leaned, there is a catch. It all hinges on the little green cap. If it is not put back after the contents are drained, there is pee everywhere. It's like a soft rubber version of a Bic pen cap. I cannot imagine it costs more than a dime, but it's really important that I put it back. This is something I found out very quickly. And to all the men reading this, I have been spared the horror of advanced prostate cancer due to early detection. All because I peed in a cup for my doctor. Best Thanksgiving ever. Because I left the ducking hospital. Word to the wise. My mother passed away before my high school graduation. I had just gotten a job out of high school as a support tech for Apple when one of my older colleagues asked if I had $1 as he was practicing origami. I gave him the $1 and let him get to work making whatever he could for me. When my mom passed, as most people do, we symbolize a butterfly as a birth of her spirit keeping with us. Amazing how many butterflies you start to see when you lose a loved one. But at the end of my shift he returned it to me, a perfectly folded butterfly with my $1. I cried very happy tears right to him and still have that $1 15 years later in my wallet with me everywhere. Dude doesn't realize what a treat that was at the time. This huge nail in the wall of my parents' home. It's like jammed in wood a certain way or whatever supposedly, and we can't pull it out. So it's instead used to hold a family picture that holds the most value of them all. A western themed photo of me, my parents and my siblings. No fights, no poor health, nothing. Just a family of 7 with 2 perfectly healthy parents and 5 smiling children whose outside playtime helps them forget about the poverty they live in and the hard times they'll come to endure as adults, not to mention the distancing that will eventually tear the 4 of them apart. It's sort of used as the spotlight of the house. At this moment, it's being used to hold a photo of my uncle who died a week before Christmas last year. He was sort of a family glue. My cat was free and I doubt anyone would pay money for it, but it means a lot to me. It's probably not as good as other people's, but I think that mine would be my cat's collar. I got it at a Dollar Tree, and I think he looks very handsome and it's a good way of telling people that he's got an owner. Before he had a collar, I've been worried that people would try to take him, thinking he's a stray. The collar is getting a bit worn now, because, you know, Dollar Tree, so I think soon I'll upgrade it. But for now, I'm grateful for that sparkly red collar. Small container of crazy glue. Kid broke a toy, no problem. Crazy glue. That shit indirectly fixes tears. Man, ducking tears. Beside table has a broken leg, duck it. Crazy glue. Wife's favorite ornament fell and broke in a few pieces. You guessed it, mother duckers. Crazy glue. Got a nasty cut? Well, I'd use a bandage. But people with more balls most likely use crazy glue. Duct tape is runner up, although for $1 or less you may have to settle with the cheap knockoff called duct tape. My Greyhound. Didn't cost a penny and improves my life immeasurably. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.